On a September afternoon in 1991, two hikers looked down into the ice and saw a body. They assumed it was a lost climber. They had no idea they'd just found someone who died over 5,000 years before the pyramids of Giza were finished. On September 19, 1991, Helmut and Erika Simon were descending the Similaun mountain in the Ötztal Alps, right on the border between Austria and Italy, when they spotted something dark sticking out of the melting ice. Police were called. So was a forensic team, because everyone assumed this was a modern death, maybe a missing mountaineer from years back. What followed was messy. Recovery teams used a jackhammer and ice picks to try to free the body, damaging both the corpse and the ancient equipment lying next to it, unaware they were tearing into a Copper Age time capsule. It was only when archaeologist Konrad Spindler examined the body and the copper axe found beside it that alarm bells rang. This wasn't a missing hiker. Radiocarbon dating would eventually place his death between 3,350 and 3,105 BCE, making him roughly 5,300 years old, from the Copper Age, before metal tools were even common in most of Europe. There was one more twist. Nobody was sure which country he'd actually been found in. A survey team measured the exact spot and found he'd died just 92 meters inside Italian territory. He was moved to the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano, Italy, where he remains today, kept in a custom cell that recreates the exact cold, humidity, and pressure of the glacier that preserved him. What he was carrying rewrote what we thought people could build 5,000 years ago. A copper axe, one of the oldest and most complete ever found, made from copper alloyed with arsenic, sourced from ore likely mined in what's now Tuscany, over 400 kilometers away. A yew longbow, unfinished. A quiver holding 14 arrows, though only 2 were finished enough to use. A flint dagger, a tool for retouching flint blades, and a fire-starting kit built around a fungus that only grows on birch trees. Technology and trade knowledge frozen in place. His body told its own story. He had 61 tattoos, not decorative art, but fine lines and crosses placed directly over joints riddled with arthritis, almost exactly where modern acupuncture points sit for pain relief. His gut still held his last meals: ibex and red deer meat, einkorn wheat, and traces of a fern that may have been used to treat parasites. He was infected with whipworm. His genes showed lactose intolerance, a high risk of heart disease, and the oldest confirmed case of Lyme disease ever recorded. He had hardened arteries at around 45 years old, the earliest known case of atherosclerosis in a human being. For a decade, everyone assumed he simply froze to death. Then in 2001, a CT scan found something earlier X-rays had missed: a flint arrowhead still lodged in his left shoulder that had torn through a major artery. He didn't freeze, he bled out. And the evidence didn't stop there. His hand and wrist carried deep, partly healed cuts, and traces of blood from up to 4 other people were found on his weapons and clothing. Something violent happened in his final day or two. Whether he was ambushed, fighting to defend himself, or caught in the aftermath of a raid is still debated. But the cold case is, forensically, a real one. In the years after his discovery, a handful of people connected to the find died, including the man who first spotted his arm in the ice. Tabloids called it the curse of the Iceman. Researchers call it coincidence and small sample sizes. What's not in dispute is what he gave science. The most detailed picture we have of a Copper Age human. His health, his diet, his final hours, even his face, digitally reconstructed by forensic artists, down to his likely eye and hair color. He's been on display in Bolzano since 1998, one of the best preserved humans ever found. A 5,300-year-old man who still has secrets left to tell. Because every mystery has a story. This is Tales Unknown.